Son of a glitch.
Sonic Unleashed. One of the more interesting of the modern Sonic games, Unleashed seems relatively stable glitch-wise to those not looking closely enough. But there are some pretty useful, crazy, and downright game-breaking glitches ready to break free. So let's kick things off from the very first stage of the game. In Windmill Isle Act 1, you'll reach this loop no more than 10 seconds in. If you dash in the air at the corner of the loop, Sonic will shoot upwards, and now, for some reason, he'll be able to run around in the air. First glitch within 10 seconds of gameplay. That's gotta be a new record, even for Sonic. Now this is completely useless, if not funny to look at, but interestingly enough, this only occurs in the Xbox 360 version of the game if it's not updated. So this stands to be one of the few glitches in the game that actually got patched. In Windmill Isle Act 2, we can perform a 3D and 2D glitch which every modern Sonic game seems to have, and this takes place just after this checkpoint. By attacking these robots in order, you can then perform a short boost from the last one and land in this general area by the Red Bridge. You can now explore a small section of the stage that you would otherwise be unable to. A lot of the ground here is solid, although only up to a certain point, so you're kinda restricted in your movements. But you are able to carry on with the stage normally with complete 3D up until a scripted event corrects the glitch. A random glitch happens in hub worlds when grinding on rails. If you pause the game mid-grind, when you exit out of the pause menu, Sonic will now be grinding without moving forward. You can flip back and forth on the rail and move Sonic slightly, but he'll remain in the same spot. I somehow managed to get Sonic's legs to do a weird thing here, which made both his feet come off the rail completely. That's some next level grinding skill. Look Ma, no legs! There's something interesting you can do once you reach Spagonia to skip story progression. When you enter Professor Pickle's lab, you'll be told he's missing, and upon leaving, Tails will suggest you ask around for clues. You'll also be stopped from re-entering the lab by an invisible wall, and here's where we can mess with the game. You're actually able to drift in the hub worlds provided you have enough speed. By jumping and dashing in the air, press the drift button as soon as you hit the ground while holding down left or down right. You'll be able to drift up the stairs and jump at the top to get over this invisible wall, which only extends upwards so far. When you enter the load zone, you'll be taken inside the lab as expected. And look who it is, Professor Pickle, just hanging out. Not really as missing as we thought. When you speak with him, he'll tell you things you shouldn't see until later in the game, because you're not expected to enter the lab until you rescue him. I got my eye on you, Pickle. Another sequence break occurs when you try to leave Spagonia, which Tails prevents, but that won't stop me. You can air dash at this awning, followed by another jump to the left, and if you do this correctly, you'll make it past a barrier and out of bounds. And stepping into the load zone will take you to Missouri as the Werehog, which skips finding all the clues about Professor Pickle, so that's pretty cool, I guess. Here's a simple trick that allows Sonic to gain access to the night stages in Spagonia before you're intended to. Get Sonic to stand about here on this ledge outside of the Professor's lab. Now jump and then dash to land on top of this tree, which strangely has a solid surface you can stand on. Face the closed gate leading to the Rooftop run stages and then simply do the same thing again. If you have enough height, you'll clear the top of the building and land inside the load zone. This will take you to the Spagonia stages, but because access to them is determined by how many Sun and Moon medals you have, you'll only really be able to tackle the first night stage by switching to the Werehog. But that's okay, because we're now going to explore the next major glitch in the game. The Werehog stages are the lengthiest in the game, which is not a good thing considering how repetitive the combat is. However, using the Werehog, we can use a glitch to go through any wall in order to skip things in certain stages. To do this, simply run up against a wall and perform this combo followed by shielding with perfect timing. You're aiming to activate the shield just as the Werehog is finished doing this spinning move. If performed correctly, the Werehog will actually pass through a wall if you hold the control stick up against it. Timing it badly will most likely push the Werehog through the floor, which most of the time isn't quite the result we're going for. One major use of this glitch is in the nighttime Rooftop Run Act 1. When you reach this section of the act, use the combo to go through the wall and you'll land out of bounds, although be careful as going too far from this wall will make Sonic fall through the ground. Now you're out of bounds, it's possible to make your way through a huge chunk of the stage until you come to this wall, where performing the glitch successfully yet again will get you just outside the entrance of the clock tower. In a speedrun, this is a large amount of the stage skipped, and when you reach the top of the tower, you can use the glitch once again, cutting out even more of the stage. It's a saving grace considering just how drawn out these nighttime stages can be, even more so if you're trying to get through them quickly. Another very notable use of the glitch is in Eggman Land, arguably the longest stage in the game. Once you reach this point with Sonic, you'll need to switch to the Werehog. You can now use the combo to go through this wall by the door, and from here, you're able to ride on top of this clear pipe and skip a lot of the end of Eggman Land. You'll need to keep jumping to stay on top of the pipe and avoid sliding off, and at 2 points you can jump out of the pipe completely to reach lower sections. This is obviously a huge time saver in this extremely long stage. And eventually you'll reach the final room of Eggman Land. So this is a great skip using the combo through walls glitch. It has many applications when you just want to skip things, simply by glitching through a wall, provided you get the correct timing. It can even be exploited to reach unused areas of the game, such as getting beyond this door at the end of Arid Sands Act 1. On the other side of the door is basically an empty part of the stage that you can explore, provided you can get over a large pit using a fairly complex setup of barrels. Although quite frankly, it's not really worth the time, but it's there if you feel like torturing yourself. Or another unused area can be found in Adabat during the mission Jungle Fright if you get beyond this door with a ghost next to it, so happy exploring. We'll revisit this glitch later on for another use of it, but for now, let's move on. Here's yet another way to break the game. At the beginning of the daytime Rooftop Run Act 1, boost while holding down the button to slide and then begin rapidly quick-stepping either left or right. Sonic will build up a ton of speed during this section of the stage, and it'll actually have an effect on the way later parts of Rooftop Run load. If you continue to make your way through the stage quickly, eventually you'll see that things begin to load and unload, leaving Sonic to move around on invisible platforms. Entire pieces of geometry will appear and disappear in an obviously glitched out way. It's possible Sonic moves so fast at the beginning of the stage, the game is unsure of exactly where he is and incorrectly loads things trying to compensate. Either way, it's a neat glitch that's easy to pull off and fun to mess around with. Here's a weird glitch that happens with the Egg Devil Ray boss. If you deliver the final hit to the boss at the same time Sonic takes damage and dies, the slow motion effect you see when a boss is beaten will carry over into the gameplay when you restart the boss. This can be tricky to perform because these two things need to happen at roughly the same time, you beating the boss and Sonic with no rings losing a life. But if you manage to pull it off, the slow motion will still be in effect, and this is actually really cool to watch. Slow motion just makes everything look so cool and emphasized. I'm not entirely sure why this effect gets carried over, but if it causes this slow motion gameplay, that's fine by me. And it's possible that maybe this can occur with other bosses too. Over to something entirely different now, and in Skyscraper Scamper, choose the mission Dead End. At the beginning of this mission, you'll see this guy, Deaf Big, hanging out on the edge of a building for some reason. In order to complete this mission, you predictably need to beat a ton of enemies for him to appear on a distant platform which you then have to reach, and that's mission over. But here's a trick to speed things up a bit. At the very beginning of the mission, instead of heading straight forwards, head back and then around to jump off the side of the building. Quickly grab the ledge to prevent falling and dying, and then make your way around to the other side of the building. Doing this skips a trigger for Deaf Big to be unloaded from the initial cutscene, and so he's actually still on the edge of the building. But touching him won't end the mission. For that, you need to make a running double jump and grab this platform. You'll see that despite the fact that you didn't beat all the enemies, Deaf Big is on this platform anyway, and so you'll now clear the mission all because we skipped a trigger. Nice! This next glitch can be performed during the Holoska Night mission A Promise Made. All you need to do is beat the last enemy and then make sure you jump off the ice as it dies, perform a combo to stay in the air, and then the mission clear text needs to appear on screen. You'll fall into the water and then you'll be prompted to retry the mission. Now, when you begin the mission again, as soon as you jump and land on the ground, the mission will clear and fail at the same time, which is odd in itself, but it gets funnier. Retrying the mission once more, you'll now see that the Werehog's animations are kinda off, and by that I mean this. Yeah. All the fighting move animations aren't quite right either, so everything just looks a bit awkward. And like before, anytime you jump, the mission is completed again. Or is that failed? Well, this is confusing. This level complete glitch can also be performed in regular stages too, anywhere that you can hit the goal ring and die by falling into water or a pit before touching the ground. A good place to try this is in Dragon Road Act 1. Reach the goal and then perform this combo, and while in the air, touch the goal ring and fall into the water below to the left. You'll reappear at the last checkpoint not too far away, and the glitch will be in effect, so anytime you jump, you'll complete the stage when you land. But interestingly, if you grab an enemy and then carry them, when you jump, the stage will end as expected, but you'll have full control of the Werehog while the results screen is up. But hey, guess what happens if you jump again while this is happening? You complete the stage again, and so the results screens overlap each other. Well, this looks complicated. And glitchy. If you've ever wanted a lot of rings in the hub worlds of Sonic Unleashed, then you should head to Chunnan. For some reason, when you boost through these rings here and then move around slightly, the game will start giving you rings from nowhere. Each time you boost into the rings, the number seems to double, helping you earn rings even faster. I guess that seen as rings are currency in Unleashed, you're basically rich now. One really interesting glitch in the game is called Ghost Mode, where Sonic is unable to pick up rings, get hurt by enemies, or interact with objects like springs or boosts. It's caused by falling for an extended period of time when you end up out of bounds and there's no death plane programmed below, and this will sometimes trigger the Ghost Mode glitch. Like here in Jungle Joyride Act 3, by boosting across the water and holding down the drift button, you can go quite a way out until you eventually drop off the edge of the ocean. After falling for around 20 seconds, you'll eventually lose a life, and sometimes when you begin the act again, Ghost Mode will be in effect. Another way to activate Ghost Mode is with the Werehog. In Windmill Isle Act 1, in this area, use the combo through walls glitch shown earlier to get out of bounds, and you'll be able to fall for a long time. So long in fact that you'll have to restart the act entirely, but this now causes Ghost Mode to come into effect. Really, it's not a particularly useful glitch, but it's an interesting one to play around with. And finally, here's the best glitch technique in the game, M-Speed and D-Speed. M-Speed or maximum speed is used in the 3D movement sections of the game, while D-Speed or directional speed is used in 2D sections. These both apply to the highest amount of speed possible while Sonic is airborne, and as you can see, Sonic is traveling at incredible speeds not usually seen in regular gameplay. To trigger M-Speed, you need to push the control stick forward enough so that Sonic begins walking, which is really only a small amount. You'll need a lot of momentum for M-Speed to trigger, at least half the speed bar displayed in the bottom left corner. To achieve this, you can give a short boost followed by pressing and holding the slide button, then jumping with either small hops but preferably larger jumps. This will maintain Sonic's current speed and build on it, triggering the M-Speed glitch. You also need to keep the control stick held at that same amount the entire time. D-Speed is the exact same thing, except it happens in a 2D section, so you're most likely going to be moving left or right. With D-Speed, you'll need a full speed bar to trigger the glitch, but the principle is the same as M-Speed. Camera changes can also affect the glitch due to Sonic's direction relative to the camera and the angle you hold the control stick at, so bear that in mind. An advanced technique for changing direction while in M-Speed would be to push the control stick the same amount in the direction you want to go, but this is very precise and takes practice. So how is this glitch used to break the game? Well, let's take a look at a few examples. Firstly, the speed of the glitch carries Sonic over greater distances while airborne, meaning skipping large amounts of any given stage is now possible. For instance, in Spagonia, using M-Speed, we're now able to jump out of bounds to land in areas much later in the stage. And this can be done several times in just this one act. Here, more speed is built up to launch Sonic from a rail and then fly through some buildings in the distance. There's no death plane out here, as the regular speed of Sonic would never get him this far away from the stage. This means we can guide Sonic down to a later part of the act, skipping huge chunks of the stage. Sonic is basically flying. That's something really incredible to watch. Another great use of M-Speed is in Eggman Land. By jumping from this rail and then boosting briefly in the air, you can carefully land Sonic on top of this structure using a stomp. Performing M-Speed now will get Sonic to a platform in the distance, which is then jumped from to make it through to this half-pipe section, which not only looks cool but also skips a Werehog section. And while that looks easy, believe me, it's not. D-Speed is a similar spectacle, but because of the nature of the 2D sections in the game, it's not quite as broken as using M-Speed. However, it's still incredibly useful for getting from A to B really quickly. M-Speed and D-Speed not only look insane, but also take a ton of practice, so you can train it by heading to Savannah Citadel Act 1. This is a great place to try the technique out and get it down. Earlier mentioned was that camera changes can affect the glitch, and there's no better example than in Windmill Isle Act 2. Performing M-Speed on this uphill turn will trigger what's called a break jump glitch. Basically, the upwards angle held on the control stick during M-Speed is then taken into 2D, and adds even more speed when Sonic jumps, sending Sonic halfway through the stage. You can land this, but good luck, it's a really tough trick. A break jump glitch can also go very wrong. As seen in this example, Sonic went so fast, the world disappeared into a black hole. Funnily enough, when I restarted the stage, this also triggered the previously mentioned Ghost Mode. So that was cool. M-Speed and D-Speed are incredible tools for speedrunning Sonic Unleashed, as well as being just amazing to watch when it's done correctly. So remember, practice makes perfect, and maybe you'll be pulling off some crazy stuff like this. But there you have it guys, some awesome, broken, and funny glitches you can try out in Sonic Unleashed. A huge thanks to everyone on screen, but a really special thanks to Joshua, who was a great help in making this episode. It really couldn't have been done without him. He's got some incredible speedruns of Sonic Unleashed on his channel, so please go and check him out. He's an amazing runner and you need to see this stuff. Also, if you like Sonic glitches, why not check out Sonic Generations or Sonic Colors for more game-breaking glitches. And if you like this episode, hit that like button, share it with everyone you know and love, but most importantly, please subscribe if you want to see more from the series. Head over to the Facebook page for the show. I post updates and sneak peeks to upcoming episodes and keep you guys in the know about all things Son of a Glitch. Or you can follow me on Twitter and keep updated that way, you know, if you want to.